In this lesson, we'll take a look at the Visual Query Builder and Data Editor. We'll give an overview of the Visual Query Builder as well as how to use the live Data Editor. 3, 2, 1. For a look at our Visual Query Builder, let's connect to our local SQL Server 2005 data source. We'll drill into our Explorer, find the node, right-click, Connect, and I have auto connection turned on, so it automatically connects using my username and password as set up in my data source registration. We'll go in the database, and there's a couple ways to invoke the query builder. First, let's go ahead and go down to the table level, find our table, right click, and we can opt for build query right here, or we can step back, go to tools, query builder. So we bring in it brings in the selected table. I'll go ahead and I will unpin this so we can get more real estate. So we have the client table already up. I'll move it over to here. I'll bring the broker table in, and we can see that because there is some referential integrity, Rapid SQL XE brings that join over for us. There are no SQL showing up right here. The reason being there are no columns selected. As soon as I select my first column, broker last name, first name, we start building the query right here. So as you can see, we're doing the join on syntax as specified in our options editor. We have our broker first name and last name. Let's take our client first name, last name, and client state. So here we can see as we build our query, if we have a specific where clause we'd like to bring in, we can right click new on the where clause, and for this case we want to say the client state equals, and we will set that equal to California, and there's our statement. Press OK, and we can see that our statement's brought in here. If we'd like to modify our join criteria, we can highlight that, right click properties. We have the from and the to table columns. We can select the join relation operator. It's defaulted to equal. We can specify whatever we'd like, and here we can have our join type: inner, left outer, and right outer. So press cancel here. We can also do group bys if we'd like, or halvings. So we have full functionality here. If we'd like to bring more tables in, we can go ahead and select the table we'd like. Let's select client transaction, drop that in, and you can see a lot of joins are brought in when we bring that table onto the palette. The reason being there's a lot of foreign keys between them. I know though that some are not needed for this query, so we can right click, delete. It'll prompt us, and here we know we want to join on the client ID and not the broker ID, so right click, delete. OK, and then we can move this around a little bit, and we want to bring in the price and the number of units into our query. So now we have a fully formed query. We're joining broker to client transaction, where the client state is California. At this point we're read-only. If we'd like to move this query, well, first let's look. We can execute this query if we'd like, and we have some other options. We can choose new. We can delete the selected objects. We can auto layout. We can auto join. So if we just drop tables on and we do not have foreign key, if we select auto join, it will create those joins for us. It can check the syntax. If by any chance we've written a customize a where clause or a order or group by, it can prompt us and tell us that that's not formed correctly. And here we can exit if we like. So let's go ahead. As I was mentioning, to take this query out, we can either select Control A to select all and right click and copy, or we can simply start typing here, and it will prompt us that it doesn't support direct editing of the SQL. We'd like to open up another SQL window. You press OK there, and it will take our query and drop it into an iSQL window. And here's our query. So let's go back to the query builder. And one other option that's very important that I glazed over a bit is File, Save. We can save this, and it is saved as an EQB file, Embarcadero Error Query Builder. So at this point we can save it and come back in at any time and open this up and start working on this query via the graphical Visual Query Builder. So here is the options around the visual query. Remember, at any time we can go ahead and drag columns in. We can invoke it either from the tools menu or from selecting the objects. If I go back here, I'd like to do one more thing here. Let's drag this out and show you how, if we know the tables that we like, broker, client, client transaction, we can right click, build query, and it will bring that query with the tables that I've selected in. So we can select all the tables we'd like to in our Explorer, right click and build query, and it will bring all those objects into the palette and we can start working with them. So that's an overview of the Visual Query Builder. Now let's take a look at the live data editing. For that example, we'll go through and we'll connect to our Sybase 15 data source. Close out. Scroll down to our Sybase. Connecting now. Our database, as you can tell, I have a pretty standard database that I use for my demos. We'll go into our tables, and here I'll select broker, right click. We can edit data here, or as with the query builder, tools, data editor. So here I'm prompted with the dialog asking me to select the objects, select the columns I'd like. I'm going to add all, press OK, and here are all the columns. I'll unpin this again. As I'm looking at all the columns, to note of importance is the mode, live or batch. Let's go ahead and select batch for this example. So here I can now start working. So if I'd like to change this from Walls to Smith, when I step off, I see a begin tran, commit tran, and here's my update statement. It's not been executed, it's only been batched. So if I want to change Carl, maybe it was a typo and it should be a C. As I step off, I have another update statement that's been batched. Right, at any time, as I look at my options, I can execute the SQL, which will run this and commit these. I can insert a brand new record. I can clear the SQL text. I can go to the first or last record. I can apply a filter, as well as filter data dialog. If I select this, it'll prompt me that I have some statements that aren't executed. I'll need to continue that. So let's go ahead and press yes. We've continued that, and then here's the filter. So we can then, if we're only interested in a certain subset, we can put a where clause in. Press no, and we can reload the data at any time. By pressing that, it reruns the initial query to brings it back in. If we go into live mode, as you would expect, as I type and step off, update the current row, it prompts me, press OK, and its SQL has been sent to the database and that row has been updated. So very straightforward. If I want to see the history of what I have executed, we have the mode. You can see the first two statements were batch mode, the third was in live mode. Let's go ahead and insert a new record. Just take a look at what that looks like. So we can office location, pardon my typing. We'll go ahead and, so as I step down, update current row and save the database, OK. And here we have some issues, right? The broker ID needs to be, a value needs to be filled in. So we're catching this as we go through, and when we enter a new record and step off, it will prompt us with that information. So we could go back through and modify that and put the proper value in for that. So again, a little overview. We have live and batch mode. Live queues it up and runs it immediately. Batch mode sends it down into our SQL preview pane, and then as we press execute, it will commit all of those statements at once. And we have all the other options that we mentioned. Insert the record. We can reload the data. We can go the first or the last record. We can filter the data as well as reload at any time. So again, an overview of the live and batch data editing found in Rapid SQL XE.